Imagine the perfect game. A game that has zero problems at all. Definitely don't need to be addressed by their small indie parent company. They're just so small, give them some time. Where every single character is packing the entire bakery.
Girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
Where you can't flame the enemy team, encouraging you to flame your own team instead. Where the games, instead of lasting 60 minutes and giving you depression, only last about 15 minutes, allowing you to take a shower. Don't worry, my friends. This game exists, and it's called Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm is Blizzard's attempt at being a contender in the Moba genre. If you already know what a Moba is, I'm sure you're also familiar with the concept of suicidal ideation. But for those who don't know, a MOBA is short for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Like League of Legends or Dota 2. It's sort of like grand-scale chess. It's the kind of game where 5 people face off against 5 in a contest of precision timing, strategic decision-making, and an inability to assess their own emotional well-being.
Why is it that everybody from your fucking country has to be the biggest piece of shit on the planet?
That being said, I actually do enjoy MOBAs, and have played a few extensively in the past. Today, I mostly play FPS games with my friends, and some roguelikes too. But I still come back to play Heroes of the Storm, and I want to tell you why. First, the characters.
Out of your friends, which are you? Truck freak crazy ass. The fight.
Blizzard used this game as an opportunity to basically make their Smash Bros. It was called Blizzard All-Stars at one point in development, if that gives you any idea. So it's got characters from all of their great titles, like Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft, and even characters from their not as well-known titles, like The Lost Vikings and Overwatch. And like other games of its genre, it's got, the classic damage dealers, magic and physical. You got tanks, you got healers, you got your little bugs wearing pajamas. The core archetypes are all there. I'll tell you some of the solid regulars that are easier to intuitively understand, and then I'm going to tell you about some of the absolute weirdos that make this game super unique. This game really shines when it comes to its character design. Tychus from StarCraft has been in this game since the very start, and he's been one of my first favorites when I started playing back in 2015. His defining ability is his minigun, which deals damage based on percentage of max health. So once every 12 seconds, you can activate your minigun ability and you deal percentage damage, meaning no matter how big somebody is, no matter how much health they have.
I'll show you who's boss in this gym.
Let us remember these timeless words, as we can.
Diablo from Overwatch, Kotaku, is a big, thick lizard that can tank just about any hit. If you like to get in people's fucking way with your giant fat ass, like standing in the middle of an aisle at Walmart with you and your 5 other fat ass lizard friends, then he's your guy. You can slam people into walls and you can flip them around too when they try to run away from your intimidating clapping cheeks. Varian from World of Warcraft. If you've ever played World of Warcraft at all, you know how strong this guy is, and they made him really strong in Heroes of the Storm too. And he's got a really interesting playstyle because he gains his ultimate way earlier than everybody else. So at level 4, you get to choose whether you'd like to be a tanky shield boy with a taunt, a burst damage dealer, or incredibly useless, each coming with their own unique abilities. Leoric, a Diablo hero, is a homeless man that swings his rod at strangers and drains them of their will to live. He has a great cosmetic that makes him move up in the world too, going from homeless to having a sweet gig as a janitor, my personal favorite skin for him. He has a unique ability to roam around as a ghost when he dies, and you can speed up your respawn by draining players as this goes, as well as continuing to flail your girthy rod around from the grave. Playing Ghost Leoric is very similar to loitering and harassing people at the Chicago airport. People who are waiting for their connecting flight, and you just sort of follow them around and stare at them. You don't really do any substantive damage to them, but you're constantly looking at them and slowing them down when they try to move away from you. A character for the true Sigma male. He's adept at following women around and cornering them in tight hallways. Abathur hails from the distant StarCraft galaxy of Australia. Being native Aussie wildlife, he is also a terrifying symbiotic monster that can attach himself to your skin and internal organs. And also sometimes he wears pajamas. When playing Abathur, you use your supreme Rick and Morty fan intellect to control the map from behind the scenes. Throw your bug hat on any ally anywhere, from anywhere, to symbiotically enhance them and to hurt your enemies. This is what makes Abathur so fun. You are a global hero and can constantly affect the battlefield if you're paying good enough attention. You also use your Rick and Morty fan physique to try not to get hit because you will die if you get so much as sneezed on. Cho'gall from Warcraft. I, once in middle school, true story, was confronted by the sight of a very strong, very out of control, very mentally challenged child on a tricycle pedaling down the hallway as fast as he could, and his wrangler was desperately trying to stop him for dear life. Playing Cho'gall is a lot like being that child and his wrangler, and they are easily my favorite characters. One person plays Cho, the tricycle child, if you will, and the other plays Gall, the wrangler. Gall does most of the damage and can shove Cho in a short direction once every 20 seconds. Imagine the wrangler trying to turn the tricycle in a certain direction. But ultimately, Cho is the captain of the ship. As Cho, you move around wherever you want, taking Gall with you, and fist at the enemies. As Gall, you blast magic at enemies, and blast racial slurs at Cho over voice chat whenever he fucks up. That's my experience as a Cho main anyway. Next, I'm going to tell you about the differences that make it a better game than the others, in my huge big IQ big brain opinion. I'm going to be using some jargon, so real fast for those unfamiliar with basic MOBA terminology. The goal of a MOBA is to destroy the enemy core. That's the big, real big fucking building at the end of their base. You can die 100 more times than your enemies. But if you destroy their core before they destroy yours, your team wins. Each character typically has 3 normal abilities and an ultimate ability that they unlock at a later level. In League and Dota, you have to land the final hit on an enemy to gain gold. You use that gold to buy items that make you stronger. You also level up by only being in the vicinity of an enemy that dies. That's the only way to get XP. A team typically has a couple carry characters who try to carry the team into the late game for a victory. These people need to hog every last hit for big items and will cry for the rest of the game into chat if they ever die. So they need 1 or 2 people to play a support character to protect them for about 30 minutes while they last hit things mindlessly, until they can actually play the game and fight somebody after all that farming. The map in a MOBA is typically made up of 3 lanes, which are the paths that go toward the top, middle, and bottom of the map horizontally. These are all directions that you could plan an attack on an enemy base or in defending your own base. In the back alleys between the lanes, there are neutral NPCs called jungle camps that either team can kill. Sometimes they provide buffs, sometimes you just kill them for the money and XP. There's also usually a boss jungle camp that has a big boy you can try to kill for some big reward. Here's where Heroes of the Storm differs. Everyone shares XP. Kill something, or someone, and everybody on the team gains the same XP from it, leveling up all at the same time. Don't worry, if you want to fight about your gamer points with the people on your team, you can still brag about that. There's a scoreboard, shows the XP and the amount most damage dealt, all that bullshit. Next is a big one. No items and no money. I can already hear carry players crying in the distance. Instead of buying items to customize the build you're going for, you customize your build with talents that are gained for your entire team when they reach a certain level. Each level scales up everyone's damage and health by a certain amount depending on the character. These talents change your abilities or give you new ones entirely, and many are game changers. You even get a choice between 2 different ultimates at level 10 to unlock. I find this system gives more importance to the character being picked and played, making their skills more unique and interesting, rather than every tank character being basically the same in the late game with the same health and shielding items like in other MOBAs. Point is, with shared XP, you have a greater incentive to cooperate with your team if you want to be powerful. With a higher level and thus more talents than the enemy team, you can run them down more easily, putting the same fear of God into them that Blizzard puts into its female employees. Another big difference. Constant Team fighting, the most fun part about playing a MOBA in the first place. A team fight, for those who don't know, is when all 5 players are facing off versus all 5 enemy players in one location. In League and Dota 2, this typically only happens after everyone has dicked around in their lane of choice for a good 30 minutes farming at least, and only then when the team feels like getting together to do something. Heroes of the Storm does not have this problem. In fact, if you jump into a quick play match right now, it is commonplace and expected for all 5 team members to immediately run down the middle lane to see which team can score a kill or 2 right at the start. I love this so much, and it's one of my favorite parts about the game. There is so much more action. You are constantly fighting over objectives, experience, jungle camps. More time is spent playing the actual game than just sitting around farming or protecting someone who is farming. Another difference, the jungle camps. A jungle camp in this game is more like a group of mercenaries that you can recruit, and they're called as such. Capturing a mercenary camp gives, instead of gold or a buff just for the person who captured it, gives your entire team XP and some rabid animals to run down a lane flinging shit at every enemy around. Most maps include a boss camp too, which, if you can beat it, will also participate in this same shit-flinging behavior for you and your team. Last, and with a very important difference, there are the maps. In other MOBAs, there's typically only one map, and it only gets changed if there's a major update that moves this one hill like 1 foot to the right because a jungle player, had a stroke on the left half of that hill. In Heroes of the Storm, there's a variety of maps, each with a different style of objective. There's a pirate map where you collect coins for a skeleton who shoots cannonballs at your enemies for payment. There's a map where you control 2 different zones at the same time to summon a metric shit ton of Zerg. They get experimental with it too. There's a map where you can only deal damage to the core based on how many forts you have when you capture an objective, and if you take out an enemy fort, it becomes your fort, and there's a guy who needs some head and a big hole. We're talking fighting over Egyptian shrines that shoot lasers to destroy buildings. Fighting over deities from heaven and hell so that they'll help you destroy buildings. Fighting over tiny plants that turn into bigger evil plants to destroy buildings. Look, the goal is the same on these maps, is destroy the fucking buildings. But my point is, it's more interesting to play on the different maps, and it brings a freshness that you don't get in other MOBAs. The maps all have the final objective of the core, but they have key differences of size, objective placement, number of lanes, and mercenaries. And with different aesthetic choices on each one too, they each have their own fun and unique style. Today, Heroes of the Storm is in the infamous Blizzard maintenance mode. Very similarly to Team Fortress 2, the game has a very small dev team left with a loyal fan base that still enjoys playing regularly. I don't think there are exact statistics for player numbers that Blizzard releases, but I can tell you that it never takes me more than 30 seconds to get into a match. Overwatch! The game has a ton of fun and weird features. As an experienced MOBA player, these things make it the most interesting game of its genre to me. It's too bad that it doesn't really get attention from Blizzard anymore. Maybe with Microsoft buying them, they'll revitalize it by putting John Halo and Steve Minecraft into the roster. But overall, I love this game. I give it 6.5 Johns out of Halo.